Thanks for joining on this glorious and amazing day. Let's listen into the conversation between Feather and Cinderblock with their amazing dialogue of one entity helping another entity. So Cinderblock, I finally want to hear the magical trick. How did you transform your life from anxiety, fear, uncertainty, worry, to life, to living in the present moment and not being affected by what people say to you or what people think about you? Good question. Good question. So, Feather, this is what I started doing. I realized that the winds around me, I don't have control. I cannot control the storms or the winds. You see, even with older technology, we can know when a storm comes, but we can't stop the storm, at least in the year 2023. You never know what's going to happen in 7 years from now. There's one thing I can control, is myself. I can learn tricks of how to control myself. So for example, let's go if a storm or a hurricane comes, I can't stand out there and beg and cry and plead for the storm to stop, but I could go to a safe place where I will feel safe. So just imagine that there's a storm, Feather, and you have a few people yelling and screaming with sticks and with microphones for the wind to stop, and then a few people just slide away and go into safety where the hurricane or the winds will not affect them. In life, it's that way too. We always try to tell people of how to talk, how not to talk, and what hurts their feelings, what doesn't hurt their feelings. And we run away from one friend to the next friend, and then we encounter new friends because we think they're gonna understand us. And it's just a waste of time because we cannot control the environment around us, but we can control ourselves. So, Cinderblock, how does one control ourselves? The way one controls ourselves is having a very different paradigm, having a very different outlook on life. You see, most people think and focus about how they're gonna feel when they go places and how people control them and who is nice, who is not nice, and their time and energy is on the world around them instead of themselves. And what I did, and I didn't turn into a Cinderblock overnight, it took me many, many years, but it's okay, because as long as you see growth month by month, not hour by hour. And what I did, Feather, was focused on me. I started building myself. I knew that I was a feather. I knew that I was light. I knew I could be trampled on. I knew I could be blown away. And what I did, I had so many different tricks to do, but I will start with one. The first thing that I want to share with you, and I don't think we're going to share all of them, but I'll share maybe a few. The first thing that I started to do is, if I had 5 minutes now of my time, instead of taking that 5 minutes and to be worried about things I have no control, I started thinking about things that I like, passions that I enjoy, and began to focus on me. So you see, Feather, if you have 5 minutes and you focus on a passion that you have, a desire that you have, a skill that you have, and you spend those 5 minutes on yourself, you're transforming your feather into something heavier. And what most people do is they actually think about how they could be safe. And in those 5 minutes, when they think about how to be safe, they're actually running away from themselves. They're actually giving so much power to the world around them. And look, it's just a 5-minute exercise where you just focus on you, on your capabilities, on your personal DNA, on your talent, on your desires, whatever it's going to be. If you want to learn music, you want to learn a new language, you want to learn something. And in our generation, we have the internet. The sky's the limit. You could search whatever you want, and you could climb mountains that you never thought you can. Wow, that is so interesting. I never thought of it. Oh my, I can't wait for next week. This sounds so interesting, and I want to try that. 5 minutes is pretty easy. Doesn't cost money. You don't have to go to therapy or take pills. I do want to try that. Thank you so much, Cinderblock. Thank you, everyone, for liking, if you like the teachings of Cinderblock. And thank you so much for always knowing that you're way greater than you think you are.